Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all. Okay. So everyone had a chance to see the agenda. We didn't have a lot of attachments. I think we only had the one with the ambulance. So I would either ask for a motion to accept the agenda, or if anything needs to be added to the agenda, we'll get it added.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay. Motion and support. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First thing up is Stacy Reynolds, and I don't see a Stacy Reynolds.
She's on Zoom.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Chair, I had asked for an update because I've been asking Kim what's going on with the new tower, and there seems to be continuous delays and no answers for the continuous delays. So I'd asked for a Motorola representative to come on and give us an update as to what's going on with this $1.278 million tower and antenna that we've half paid for.
Okay. So Stacy, I take it as the representative that's going to give us an update.
She's our project manager. She's with Motorola.
Okay. Sounds like she's driving with the top down.
Is it that bad? Wow. And I'm just standing in my living room.
I hear this breeze going by. It sounds like you're driving down the highway.
Too funny. Too funny. Okay. Well, I take it everybody can hear me.
Yes.
So, okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to take a couple minutes of your time just to bring you up to date on what has been occurring. And yes, I do concur that there have been delays, and I certainly do apologize for them, but they have been some unusual circumstances surrounding this project. It has been challenging, to say the least, not only for the state of Michigan, but on a North America scope of work. So I am exceptionally thankful and want to say thanks for your continued patience while we went through several iterations of the tower design. And we are now, I am happy to say, nearing completion. Just to give you a quick update of what to look forward to and a timeline. We are completing our optimization on all of the network equipment, and we have an anticipated completion of this work tomorrow by end of day. The next scheduled event is going to be what we call coverage testing, where myself and the Motorola project engineer Ryan Monteleone, and he is listening in on the call. We will be in town next week, and we will take approximately 3 to 4 days to drive the entire county. And at the end, we will be presenting a map and a report to Director Elke. And this is going to show a before and an after of what the enhancements to your coverage, your radio coverage, will be once we turn this up and go live.
Are you still there?
Are you still there? Are you still there?
Yep, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, it dropped for some reason. I don't know if it's my internet connection or what. But the next item that's going to take place is what we call acceptance testing. And we do that in conjunction with the state of Michigan, MPSCS. And we are going to be doing that on August the 2nd, which I believe is a Wednesday. And then the final item will be the MPSCS will take the time to review all of our acceptance tests that we perform on the 2nd, and we are targeting a go live turn up to for the tower on Wednesday, August 23rd. And I want to make one correction in what I just stated. I stated the entire county and what we are doing as far as coverage testing. We are, how should I put it? Because I don't want to confuse items. Hold on one second here. Because I have some notes here. We're doing what where we have placed new coverage, and we'll demonstrate what you had before. And then when we are out driving, it will be the new areas that this tower will be covering. So you will see a significant difference in what you would consider a dead zone. And then once we turn this up, it will be a live zone. So that's where we are at right now. So I would like to open the floor to questions or any concerns.
I just wanted to catch that. The tower acceptance was, what did you say, August what?
The acceptance testing or the coverage testing, I'm sorry, or the turn up. There's 3 components.
The last one.
The last one is our go live and turn up, which is when it will be turned up and everything is going to be available. And that's August 23rd.
Okay.
The gap in the testing to the go live, again, it gives the state the ability to review all of the tests, make sure everything is up to spec and that they approve of all the optimization. And I just lost another train of thought there, but it allows time for us to get all of our resources in place and make sure that on the 23rd, everything goes smoothly and gives us an opportunity. If there are any inconsistencies that the state identifies, that we will have the resources and we'll be on site to make those corrections.
Okay.
Just a couple, this is Bert Francisco. I'm one of the commissioners and I asked to have you here today. So I have just a couple of questions. You started out saying, due to unusual circumstances with the state of Michigan and in North American scope of work. Could you give a little more detail on that, please?
Absolutely. Where you see the tower today in the close proximity, it is to the 2 buildings on either side of it. We had to do our due diligence and we made very sure that the foundation, when it was being poured, the design of the tower was not going to cause any damage to either one of those buildings. And to be completely transparent, this was a 1 in a million, I guess, foundation. And we were very cautious with who we chose as a vendor. We wanted to make sure that they knew what they were doing. We were comfortable with their work, and we had the assurance of our Motorola site development teams that they could complete the work with minimal frustration to Alpena County.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, when you are here or you have some staff that are here for 3 or 4 days and you're doing your coverage testing next week, is it just you and your staff, or do you have elements of our public safety community go with you and do any testing while that's going on?
We have made arrangements with Director Elke, and I know that Monday is pretty much a setup day for myself and the engineer. But the county provided vehicles, Kim and Al Rapson, are more than welcome, and we have extended the invitation for them to sit in while we are performing said coverage testing.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, I do have one more question. So 23 August is the final MPSCS review, and the target date is 23 August. So on or about 23 or 24 August, we should be able to have our new tower operational. Is that a fair expectation?
That is a very fair expectation.
Okay, all right.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm just kind of curious, is this, because I didn't realize there was issues with this. Was this because of the 911 and that committee?
Yeah, exactly. And I've been working with Kim, and she was giving me, she wasn't putting me off, but she wasn't giving me information that I thought was accurate. So I said, I'd like to have the rep
Okay,
brief this, at least this committee. So if the full board had any concerns, at least we had
okay.
that connected.
All right. If no one has any other questions, I think we should be good, and we'll keep an eye on those dates to, hopefully we'll get to that August 23rd date on time, and we should be good from there.
Excellent. Please let me know if I can answer any other questions at any time.
Okay, I think we're good for today, and if we do have any other questions, we'll have Kim reach out and get back to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Okay. Next item is Janelle Mott, which you said we don't have any information, and I don't see Janelle. So I'm assuming we're just gonna skip over that. Now, is it because she didn't have the stuff in time, or what's, I mean, because we should get a copy of that at some point.
Yeah, I just didn't get one from her.
Okay. All right, we'll follow up on that. And then you said, what was the deal with Steve? I didn't,
He presented at the security committee last week about that security update.
I can touch base on that. If you'd
Yep,
like.
go ahead.
So, maybe for personnel, what it was, no.
No before.
Yeah,
No before.
No before. And what we agreed to do was send out 2 emails, because a lot of people didn't know really what this program was, why it's important we complete it, myself included. And so 2 emails would go out, one to employees of the county with a memo kind of outlining why this training is important, and also letting them know if they don't complete the training, they do risk having access to their email cut off until the training is completed. A second email would go out to department heads and elected officials. The department heads would kind of let them know who might need to be caught up on the training, who work under them. And then what we decided to do was, because we can't necessarily cut off email access for elected officials, or possibly can, we would shame them publicly by sharing a list of the names with it internally, so everybody can kind of see who's not complying.
and commissioners would be at the top of the list, right?
Correct, yeah. The one thing I am a little curious about, though, is it's been over a week and I haven't seen either of those 2 emails.
So the email came today at 1500 today.
Okay, so
From Steve to all the county users. That was to the general.
perfect, thank you. All right, so that was kind of a brief overview of probably what you wanted to touch base on. I do think he did share, Kim, did everybody, I think Lynn sent that to everybody, the information, kind of the database of who's completed or how well we're doing.
I'm not sure.
Chart. That went out, I think, late last week, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
that was after, I think, after our meeting. Our personnel meeting. Okay, any questions? Anybody have any questions regarding the IT information that Jesse just shared? If not, we can move on to animal control. We're just cruising along here. It's good when no one gives us reports,
They
right?
don't show up or give us a report. It goes quickly.
Meeting today.
Mary Catherine.
Thank you, sir.
Next time you should have that a little earlier. I apologize.
So one thing I would just say is if you will report or give us an update on these every month, because I notice it's from 6:30, if you could just get those to us before the meeting, so that way, we can review this and if we have any questions.
Give a minute to digest it, because we're on a short meeting today.
And Michelle, you're going to explain this to us? Okay, awesome, thank you.
I was given a list of stuff to put in the monthly report, so we can go
That's great.
through.
I'm good if you want to dive in. I'm good, ready to.
I'll just go down the list of the statistics that I was asked to provide, and then we'll find it together here. So the first one was the average daily animal population for the month. Again, this is for the month of June. And you'll find that in the first page, bottom right corner. The average daily population for dogs was 14 and for cats was 10. The monthly intake number.
Just one question. So that means, so on average, you had 14 dogs and 10 cats.
That was the daily average for the month of June. So roughly 24 animals.
Okay, you can go ahead and,
Okay, the next one was monthly intake number of dogs and cats / other. I don't think we have any others for the month of June, but on page 1, the bottom half, we broke that down into species. So intake numbers for the month, we took in 39 animals in the month of June, 7 cats and 32 dogs. We broke it down further by jurisdiction. The city of Alpena was 21. Alpena Township was next with 13, and then 1 or 2 from the other townships. And the intake type, we broke that down even further.
I have a question, Michelle. I mean, this is your first report, so this, inaugural report, if you will, but the number of 16 owner surrenders, is that, in your opinion, is that high, low, or about what it usually is?
So that can happen with, a lot of these case animals were surrendered after they were taken in. And some were surrendered right away and there won't be a criminal case, if that makes sense.
Okay.
so
They cannot take care of their animal and they can't find a place for it to go. So instead of making them keep ownership of that animal, we will take the owner surrender so that they're not neglecting the animal.
so there's an issue. This isn't some average person say, you know what, I can't feed my dog anymore, so I'm going to get.
Right, no, if they need dog food, we can help them out with that. If they need, we try to help them with everything we possibly can to keep the animal in the home with the owner. That's our ultimate goal, is not to even have the animal come into the shelter, so.
Anything behind an owner's surrender is related to a specific issue that could be related to a case?
Yes,
Okay.
it can. And some of them are, even if they're criminal cases that are gonna go to court, they can surrender those animals before the case is heard in court.
So, and I guess I'm trying to, because again, like Bert said, this is our first time, so an owner surrender, and it kind of give me, you don't have to give me specifics, but so if I have a dog and I'm one of those owner surrenders, there's a case related to me neglecting that dog maybe?
There could be, yes.
It's a potential case.
Yep. But some of them are under compliance agreement plan, some of them are criminal cases, some of them are where the owner died. And none of the family want the animal, so they surrender them to us. We did take in one medical, it was a little kitten that got hit by a car. And then strays.
So if you didn't have an owner surrender, you'd see the number of strays go up correspondingly. i.e.,
Not necessarily, the strays are like a dog that's picked up
oh, okay,
running at large and brought in.
okay.
I think what the commissioner is asking is if you didn't take him as an owner and surrender, there's a good possibility that the owner, to get rid of the animal, would just go release.
Oh,
Just go
absolutely.
dump it off on a back road.
And that's what happens.
Okay.
That's what happens. Yeah.
And I think Kat told me, because I asked her about owner surrender, I think she said all but 2 were tied to a criminal case.
Right.
Is that correct?
Probably.
All but,
I mean, if you really want those details, I did bring some of the other information with me. I could probably look that up.
But that
real quick.
might, that owner surrender column, you guys could probably use a
Breakdown of that
divided
even,
column further
could do
in
that.
the future.
Yeah, that'd be nice, like on.
Yeah, we can get as detailed as you want to get.
Their owner surrender, you could put, case, related to case and,
14 pending, pending legal action or something.
It's not just an owner coming and saying, I don't want my animal.
because when I look at owner surrender, I'm like, someone just got tired of feeding a cat or a dog.
We do try to get that. So we created a social media page where they can go to do home-to-home adoptions, which is where they try to rehome the animal instead of dumping it on a shelter, to do that for them. And then if they try that, and we maintain that page so we can see if they actually tried it. If that doesn't work, then we send them to a protection shelter. And if the protection shelter turns them down and there's, a lot of these people are getting evicted, they need to get rid of their animal now. They're moving, they're homeless. Like, I don't want it to turn into a neglect case, and I don't want it to be a dump dog where I end up with it anyway, and I don't know anything about the animal.
You guys just took in some Labradoodle puppies, right? Okay, was it like 5 or how many were there?
We ended up with 5.
Okay. What was the issue with that?
That would be an irresponsible breeder,
Yeah.
living in grandma's basement,
Okay,
and could not care for the animals
Got it.
any longer. She did try to surrender them to the protection shelter, but said they wanted a surrender fee that she was unable to afford.
okay. Thank you. And then one other question, just because we're on the front page. So out of the area, does that mean like somebody who's visiting, so it wasn't licensed here?
No, so that one was actually a dog that we had adopted out a year ago that came back to us.
Got it, okay.
They
Perfect.
ended up pregnant and having a baby and didn't want a baby and a dog. So we take it back.
Thank you. Skip ahead on the page, or should we?
I think you covered everything.
I'm good at page 1, yeah, I'm good.
And as far as the number of strays picked up and transported, it's said by me, but we further broke that down because, as you can tell, in the month of June, I only took 1 stray dog to the shelter. The city police officers took a total of 4 to the shelter, and then other deputies, including myself, took 9 to the shelter. So there were 13 that were brought in by law enforcement, which means all the other ones would have been brought in by citizens. And then again, to the right, we broke that down.
Where were the other ones? You said all the other ones would have been,
So there were 21, I think it's 21. There were 21 stray dogs brought in June, which would mean 8 of them were brought in by the person who found the dog.
Sorry, I missed something on the first page. I wanted to ask about the bike quarantine. Do we, I guess, does animal control quarantine animals, or do we have the owners quarantine the animal and we?
So that's my discretion.
Okay,
Right now, most of the time we have the owner quarantine them unless there's a reason that they don't want to quarantine them. With this particular dog, it had already bitten 2 children in the house, 2 separate occasions, and she no longer wanted the dog quarantined in the house.
what kind of dog was that?
Pit bull. The dog was euthanized after the quarantine was up.
Where was that dog from? Ish.
City.
Not, didn't happen to come from those apartments by the, across the street from the fairgrounds?
I think so. Maybe close to there. I know it's in that area.
Okay.
Because it's in my district and not far from where I live, is the Lakewood Drive dog situation still pending?
Outside prosecutor to take that case.
Okay.
Cases. There's multiple cases with that one.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And there's
They know where I live.
another case going
Is there?
up.
Oh, okay. So it's still pending then?
It's still pending.
Okay, because they ask me and I give them the warrant officer salute. I don't know, but I'll see what I can find out. So thank you for that it's pending.
I do have an idea with that, but
We don't have to discuss it here, but thanks.
as far as where the strays were picked up. And that's just the law enforcement pickups where they were picked up.
Right.
For the next month, I'll add like how many were citizens and then where the animals found, we can add those in there too.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's at the bottom of the page.
Just gonna say, you got it down.
Got it done.
Sorry, it's already there.
So if an individual were to call animal control and report a dog loose in their neighborhood, and then
They wouldn't call animal control, they'd report it to central dispatch.
central dispatch, okay. All right. And then central dispatch would notify animal control or,
They would either dispatch me or another law enforcement officer.
because there was an incident in my district, I don't want to say recently, but within the past 2 months, where a dog was loose. It was reported, so it was called in. While they were holding the dog, the owner drove up. So that's my dog. I've been driving around looking for it. I'll take it. They loaded the dog up, drove away. Had not gotten very far, I guess, and somebody had shown up in response to the call and basically said that the dog had to be handed over to them. It was not right to give it to the owner, and that in the future they could risk getting a ticket if they were to hand it over prior to them coming there. I'm not sure which enforcement agency might have been that was responding to the call, but maybe just something to be aware of that was a call I got recently. So
They told the owner that or
yeah, well, no, they told
the white thing?
the person who, no, it was just a dog running around, and the person who found it called it in. And while they were holding the dog, waiting for the, whoever was going to respond.
I mean, they're not wrong. I just don't know who did it.
Right, no. So, but they said, wait, what do you mean they weren't wrong? In saying that if they were responding and they gave it back to the owner prior to.
Correct.
That's what,
There's actually laws against,
returning a dog to its owner.
yes,
Really?
other than by law
Or
enforcement,
state law.
right?
Our law, or like local?
So it is in the county ordinance, but there is also a couple state laws that are, that regulate as far as what a citizen can do with a stray dog. One says that they have to notify animal control within 48 hours that they have the dog. And then the other one says they are not even allowed to keep the dog in their possession or return it to the owner.
Well, in the case, it sounds like in his case, if you're standing on the side of the street holding this dog, waiting for whoever to show up, and then the owner happens to drive by and says, hey, there's my dog, I want my dog back. I can understand where, the person that, it's not like the person that had the dog took it in its house and tried to do something with it. They were probably,
Right.
again, I don't know.
Right, you no longer have to prove intent that somebody was intending to keep the dog anymore. And I mean, that one sounds like it's
Bad timing.
bad timing.
There's kind of two parts to this.
Right.
Correction maybe that needs to be made.
there could be situations where a neighbor's dog is consistently getting out and then goes to a neighbor's house and the neighbor says, oh, here's my dog, and animal control never gets called and never corrects that problem. Or that dog's being abused, that's why it's getting out. So the statute kind of has tried to protect that. The problem is in 2023 with social media, why are we gonna tie up an officer to go out there when you can post it, hey, I found a dog? So there has to be some.
Well, I think also.
There could be an ongoing case with that animal too that other people don't know about. And if you find a dog and I pull up and say, hey, that's my dog, you know, and a lot of dogs are happy-go-lucky, they'll get in the car with anybody.
That's how I
do you
get
know that
into the car.
How do you verify that? How do you verify that on the owner?
Right.
Yeah, my dog doesn't care. He'd go with anybody. You say you're gonna give him a ride someplace, he's in.
Right. And I mean, people can get,
My dog,
you know, that's a liability thing on their part, but
Right. I just think threatening somebody with a ticket is a bit much for returning a dog. I mean, that's a neighborly thing to do. We live in northern Michigan, not Detroit, you know?
Right.
Yep.
But okay. And then I did have one other question. Do we ever collect dogs from other counties outside of Alpena, or do we stay solely in Alpena? So like we wouldn't go into Presque Isle County, for example, and collect dogs, or
like pick up a stray.
like pick up any dogs that like a surrender, or let's say somebody is in a different county. Okay. And I guess my only other question is, this is great, and I appreciate the report and appreciate the fact that this becomes commonplace. That's great. 2 months ago, we did ask for a best practices manual or report. Can we get that before the next court's meeting on August
I
22nd?
think that was, so an animal, so I know I talked to Eric and we have a meeting scheduled for August 3rd and we're gonna start reviewing the policies.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Working on that.
Okay.
We've already started 2 policies. One's not completed yet. We've been swamped busy, but yes, that is the goal.
Okay.
So and again, this is the first report. What I'm seeing is a lot of intake information, but I don't see disposition. Okay, we had a grand total of 39 on the front page, grand total of 39 animals taken in. So what happened to those 39 animals? I mean, there's an average of 24.68 per day.
I'd say that they're not 39 are not there right now, because
Right, that's what I'm saying. What happened? I mean, I'm just curious to know,
15 dogs and 9 cats right now.
I mean, are most of these animals euthanized? Are they found fostered out? Are they?
We can do an outcome. That wasn't on the list.
so
Yeah, well, I just have to think, we know that I see the stream coming in, but I don't see where they're going from there. I'm just curious, you know, what's the disposition of these animals in most cases?
Okay.
Again, I'm certainly somewhat concerned about capacity issues for sure. I mean, that kind of leads to the, you know, again, the size of the current shelter. So that, I guess that's why disposition for me, I think is an important aspect as well. If it's not too much, work.
There's 15 dogs and 9 cats,
Okay.
which is we're actually at our limit for dogs right now.
Okay, so based upon the state,
Yes. And when we're over, I self-report all the time.
okay, yeah.
Pretty used to hearing from me.
Okay, so the state capacity says 15
Yes.
dogs and
15 dogs and 50 cats. However,
50. Okay.
there's no way we can do 50 cats in there anymore because we used to house like hoardings in the main kennel room,
Okay,
and we could easily fit anywhere from 50 to 80 cats in there.
okay,
We don't do that anymore.
okay. Thank you.
well, and I would assume, because again, you know, the animal control ordinance talks about dogs and the, you know, what goes on with the dogs. We shouldn't be really taking the cats unless it's a neglect or some sort of case where the animals are being neglected.
Right. And we don't. We have one abandoned cat right now, but it'll probably never turn into a case. Because we don't know another.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm driving down the street and I chuck the cat out the window,
Right.
who's gonna know?
Right. So we had a finder that ended up finding a cat, and its kitten called us. It was obvious that it was dumped or, whatever. There was no nest around there. So it had escaped from another Good Samaritan who took a cat in, but we have people who are trying to surrender cats and litters of kittens, and there's nowhere for these things to go. I mean, this is America's most dumped animal, and, that's what happens.
I know my son was driving down the street and a little kitten walked out into the street out by my house. He picked it up, took it home and says, "Oh, look what I got, a new cat." I'm like, "No, we don't have a new cat. Go put it back where you found it." 2 days later, and then next day I felt bad, drove to where he said the cat was, and the cat was still sitting there. And guess what? I own that cat now. Well, I would assume it was a stray. So it was out in the middle of nowhere.
You want to update anything else at the shelter? When's your inspection coming?
The inspection should be happening anytime. I did repaint the floors. Those are gonna have to be redone again. Whatever product I used is not gonna work. Just a paint and a sealer, which I thought was gonna be the better thing, the better option, because we could do a small area at a time and keep up on it that way instead of waiting for it to get really bad and then having to redo the entire floor. I don't know what else to use on there other than the one that you mix up and you have a certain amount of time to put it down and you do the entire floor. It doesn't last very long. The last time we did that, we got a couple of years out of it, but our animal intakes back then weren't anything like they are now.
I know at the base we have workspaces like civil engineering has workspaces that they actually put this epoxy and you sprinkle the little things on it.
That's what we've used before and it's worked pretty good.
I was going to say, so that they did their areas easily 4 years ago and they still look really good.
Yeah, they probably don't have dogs digging at the floor and moving crates and kennels around.
Not the last time I checked. Dogs and stuff.
It's pretty high traffic where we're at.
One of the things that because I know we've had issues in the past with the staffing, so I don't know if what kind of information you can give us, but I know if you could give us an update on how the staffing is. In the past, like I said, we've had instances where the current staffing we have is exceeding the number of hours for part-time, so.
Yep, that has happened. So 2 of them are leaving. Their last day will be July 28th, so we're currently hiring 2 part-time staff.
Sorry, when did you say they were leaving?
July 28th is their last day.
So 2 are leaving on July 28th?
Yes.
And so did you already, I mean, I don't know how that works. Were you able to get something out to post it or do you already know people?
It's on Indeed. It's been posted on Indeed right away. I don't know. I don't think we've done it local.
Yeah, that was just, they just put their resignation in on
Friday afternoon.
Give them an update on drug court.
We haven't been doing low-cost spay neuters at the shelter anymore, so there's a lot less things we need to worry about there. So we've been taking in more community service workers. We're working with the pilot program with drug court. They're sending people over to us right now, mostly in the mornings. Purchased a couple more, 3 more outdoor kennels.
So to go back to that drug court, I know, and this was years ago, I went to, to learn about drug court, and I know that they're supposed to do community service and stuff like that. I think that's an excellent opportunity for us because they have to do some sort of community service. And I don't know how we keep tapped into that work program, if you will. But is there any way that we can
We've been using community service workers all along. We were able to kind of open that up to more broad of a reason why they're doing community service. So there's more opportunities for people to do community service there now than there used to.
you say open it up more broader, what does that mean?
So this goes hand in hand with over hours. So this last Monday, when I was doing payroll, I realized we had been over hours. So we initially sat down and talked about, let's get trustees, let's get jail workers in there, so we don't have to pay to have employees do this type of work. So working with Christina and Michelle, we were looking at our jail population. The problem with the jail population doing this work is the people we have in our jail, we don't want them out in the fairground with, we have people camping there, we have drugs in that facility, so it just didn't work. So then we started looking at what other options we could use. And I had created a spot for Deputy Lash to be here on the campus of the courts and the county buildings to be that liaison person. So I asked him, hey, since you're in the drug court, you're on that committee, can you get maybe some people court order to come in and maybe they're not that as bad as the inmate, they just need some community service hours. So he was able in a short period of time get people from the court, drug courts, and some juveniles to come help with the work at the show.
Well, I know, like I said, when I went into the court, I would think that that would be a good place to get them, because obviously those people aren't in jail because they're doing the drug court. Granted, they had some involvement with drugs, because that's why they're in drug court. But at least, and I guess the downside with the inmates is unless have a fence to walk from the jail to the building, you gotta have someone take them there and you gotta have someone oversee them and watch them. At least the drug court, they're able to drive over there on their own at the time that they're required to do whatever the services that they're doing. And it seems, like I said, it seems like that would be a good opportunity. And I'm not saying you need to take every single person and say, we want every single one of you to go over here, but I think you have an opportunity. And again, the downside is, I don't know how many hours community service they're required to do, but, I did my 30 hours community service. Now I'm out. Now you gotta, if you will, retrain somebody else to come in and do that as well. So.
Yeah, they're being overseen by staff, and it's nothing you can't train somebody on the fly to do.
Yeah, if you can use, community service as a term of probation or whatever in lieu of, if they're not being incarcerated at the time. Yeah, otherwise it gets, the devil's in the details. So
Right.
as long as there's some kind of benefit for you all as well as, a probationary requirement or whatever, I think that's awesome. But if it gets in the too hard to do block, then obviously that.
We just make sure we're using people that, I don't want to have to worry about my one staff member. That's
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
How about the volunteers? I mean, do you have like a list? Because I've never really checked on that. I know you have volunteers, but do you have like a sign-up sheet that, this is the times we have available, if you could come, and then you put that out there, and then whoever the volunteer is for the ACO is who's coming?
No, most of our normal volunteers are there kind of on a regular basis. We know, and then there's a sign-in sheet. They sign in when they're there. As far as a set schedule, it's just difficult.
Like I said,
They want to show up when they want to show up.
yeah, I get that. But I'm sure there's times that you probably need people more than, you don't want all your volunteers to.
In the mornings, because most of our normal volunteers, our citizen volunteers show up in the evening, and then community service comes over in the morning, which is our greatest need, because it's typically when the shelter is the messiest, is first thing in the morning, because the animals have gone 12 hours without, going outside or.
Any complaints with the fairground manager at all, or that they have made to you? Dogs are too noisy, or anything bothering our campers or anything like that?
No, most of them come over and visit with the dogs during the day. And
Okay.
most of them have dogs.
Okay. Thanks. No, I have no other questions.
On the revenue, let me just point out on the revenue part, the June, right under June 2023 revenue. So that had not cleared yet. You'll have to add that to the bottom. for the month, for the, year to date. So the bottom part does not include what is at the top.
Is under your impound fees, is that kind of normal, that number? Is that average or is that,
Yeah, that's probably average, I think, for the month of June, that's probably.
you say it's for the month of June, so you have an average for each month?
So stray dogs, typically, we see more stray dogs. The months of June and July are probably our busiest months as far as stray dogs. You really start to see an increase in May. It's during the nice weather. You see more strays than you do in the wintertime. Typically. There hasn't been anything very typical over the last year. I don't foresee it getting any better.
Under your miscellaneous revenue donations, and I know you had a yard sale or whatever it was, garage
There
sale.
was a fundraiser, yeah.
So where does that actually fall under? Does that?
Miscellaneous revenue and donation.
There?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Did we make it to the,
Or anything that wasn't on here that you want added? I mean, other than what we talked about already.
yeah,
Just disposition.
that would, I mean,
And then break-
numbers coming in and going out, and maybe, year-to-date total somewhere? That's not on here, is it? So this is the monthly. It'd be kind of interesting to see where we are. And then as we go along, over time, you could say, we're getting way more dogs and cats than we did last year or the year before. I mean, we're still a long ways off from that, but
Yes, I have that written. I know in the first 193 days, I forget what day I did this, but whatever the 193rd day was of the year, we had taken in 182 animals at that time.
192?
182
Oh, 82?
in 193 days.
Everything about one a day. I mean, this is just my opinion, but on the second page, when you have strays transported by officer and agency, I don't care which officer brings it.
Okay.
My agency is okay. I mean, that's just, thanks for the detail, but that's a little more detail than I would need. Just by agency is fine.
Yeah, that way there we know who's taking the dogs in. Is it Alpena Police Department or the Sheriff's Office?
Well, they were wondering if they got a free toaster if they brought in a stray, so.
Yeah, for me, I'm just good with the agency. We don't need to, it's not a contest, so
Yeah, they're out there, hey, I need to get my numbers.
I need two more dogs.
Hey, we increase revenue that way,
I
right?
gotta be so-and-so.
Yeah, by agency is sufficient, in my opinion.
Yeah. On the third page, what is this? I guess something got cut off. Is that adoption? Is it return?
Yes.
And what does that mean?
So there was animals that we adopt out, we will take back.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, that one dog was returned after a year when they ended up having a baby. And then another one we had adopted out. They tried working with the dog for, I think it was at least a month, but she had a taste for chickens. That's one thing we can't test at the shelter. Some things you just don't know.
Right?
So and again, I don't know how this works, but you said, we're talking about owner surrenders. And I know that if you euthanize an animal, I mean, obviously, I've heard that the owner surrenders, and we've talked about this in the past, where an owner comes in and says, I want my dog euthanized. Is that considered an owner surrender?
That would be an owner surrender, but we don't do that.
You don't,
Just take a dog because they want it euthanized.
so there has to be a reason?
Well, yeah,
I mean, I know that if they owner surrender it, then you're gonna try to find a home. I'm not gonna just, I'm sick of.
right. We don't euthanize healthy adoptable dogs.
Okay,
Um,
so,
hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to offer some low-cost euthanasia. We don't at this very moment. So, I mean, if they want their dog euthanized, we send them to a veterinarian.
so what, I guess, what would be reason to, if I'm an owner and I bring my dog in, at what point, how do you determine whether this dog should be euthanized? I know, because I've seen, and I can't think of a particular case, but I've heard where, and I can't remember if it was something that in previous meetings, discussions, that the owner wanted the animal euthanized, like you have a list of how many animals are euthanized. And on there, I thought maybe that's where I've seen the list of animals that you've used.
The owner requested stuff would be like after a bite quarantine. If they want the dog euthanized after the quarantine is up, we'll euthanize it.
Okay. So in the case where this one was under the quarantine because it was vicious, it bit somebody,
Right.
then you,
That one quarantine that's on here, that one was euthanized after. That was an owner requested euthanasia.
and so that's the point where you would euthanize it because it's an
Right.
aggressive
I
dog.
mean, if we get an unclaimed stray dog in or something like that, if it shows aggression towards people or other dogs, if it's a big dog that could kill another dog, we will not adopt those dogs out.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, or do you have anything else with this? I think this was a good first attempt at giving us some information.
And you guys will go over it more on your animal control meeting.
I guess just maybe during the animal control meeting, I would like to know where exactly it is about holding dogs and being ticketed if not, because it's not in our ordinance. I couldn't find it in Act 339 either, so I'm just curious where that is.
I think it's in section 4 and section 7 combined, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have to look.
Thank you, Michelle. Looking at that report.
All right. And under the ambulance fund, the only documents that we actually received prior to, for review, if everyone's had a chance to review those, I took a look at them and didn't see anything that jumped out. It looks, we're pretty much 50% of the way through the year, and that's, we're at least 50% on most, not most, but ones that, the bigger items. Anything to add?
We have an ambulance that I'll get with Mary Catherine to return to you guys probably
Yep.
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yep, I just got confirmation today, everything.
She's not here for the next week, or this week.
Yeah, she'll be back next week.
She's on leave this week, on vacation this week.
Where would you guys like it?
Give it to me, I'll take it for a test drive.
Wes, where do you think we would like that ambulance?
You have to do any paperwork with her?
I just gotta get you guys a title.
If you want to leave it at the office, you can, take care of it once you get it.
Thanks, Gerald.
Where are we going? Okay, so we'll make a note that we're getting a new, well, no. turned in ambulance tomorrow.
The other one, so he's on the road.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions, if not, with the reports, if get a motion to read the reports. Support by Bill. Okay, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good with that. And I believe, any other discussion? I do not have any discussion. Does anybody else have any
No, I don't.
further discussion?
Time to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.